Today we are covering each one of Steve Sarkisian's hires at Texas. We know what's up with Sark, offensive juggernaut, innovative play caller. He made big-name hires and assembled a powerful staff that focuses on development, recruiting, and scheme. The donors broke out the checkbook, so let's take a look at each hire and see what's in store. I'm going to go over each coach and tell you what you need to know. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to grow the channel so I can keep bringing you bigger and better Texas Longhorns content. Make sure to comment what you think of these new hires too. Let's get into it. First coach up, Kyle Flood. Giant hire, excellent offensive line coach and excellent coach in general. Him and Sark are tight, and they coached 2 years together for the Falcons before spending the last 2 years at Bama. He was the head coach at Rutgers from 2012 to 2015, and he won some bowl games. He even had 6 All Big Ten players on his squad one year, at Rutgers. There was some drama on his way out, but all seems to be good there. He's our offensive coordinator, not our play call. He's just going to handle the logistics of getting everything ready before game day. He will be prepared week in and week out, and that's because of his head coaching background. He's one of the top recruiters on staff, and he landed the Brockermeyers for Bama from us. He is going to get us the 5-star tackles we need and develop them into monsters. I mean, need I say more? He pulled 2 5-star tackles to Bama this year in J.C. Latham and Tommy Brockermeyer. Let this man recruit and give his line some time to develop. We simply do not have a high level of talent at that position, and I believe the room was mismanaged. Having a top recruiter at O-line is very, very cool though. His scheme and coaching is the best in the nation. His line won the Joe Moore Award for Best O-line. Show patience and let him work and develop that line, and he will compete for national championships. He is our best hire, and that's saying a lot. Jeff Banks, tight end, special team coordinator, and a lead recruiter. I hate the word rainmaker, but it is fair to say he is in fact a rainmaker when it comes to the old Cruton. Watch some interviews with this dude. Engaging, intense, and a confident guy. You can tell he believes in what he's selling. Previous stops at A&M for 7 years gave him reach in the state, and he can go into the North Shores and Duncanvilles of the world. He was responsible for snatching up the Texas talent in Bama's latest class. He seems to be very plugged in, with many people referencing knowing him. He can recruit out west so we can snatch up 2 a year that fit our scheme. Look at Banks to be pulling in our top guys and big game hunting. He's an elite special teams coach. He was a punter at Washington, so his background is in special teams. Bama's kicker didn't miss a single kick this year. He will be a good coach for Dicker since they have the same type of confidence oozing out of him. Expect special teams to be a strength year in and year out, not a hindrance. And he coaches tight ends as well. Really not a ton to go on here because Bama didn't really put a lot of emphasis on receiving tight ends. The receiving stats were pretty low, but that's a scheme thing. But I am going to see how he uses Wiley because that kid needs to rock. Background is solid. Coached at UTEP for 9 years, A&M for 7, Bama for 3. He seems to hold on to his gigs in a high turnover industry. Always something to note. He was a special teams coordinator at every single stop. Banks is a big hire. Sark hired AJ Milwee to be our QB coach. This is our least proven hire and is directly related to him being Sark's right-hand man. He was an OC and a QB coach at Akron for several years, and he worked at Bama the past couple years, and he actually scored an offensive coordinator gig. He has won a 30 Under 30 award for young football professionals, so it seems he's a rising talent, and he just turned down that OC job to come to Texas. Basically, Sark and him click, and he knows exactly what Sark is looking for due to a similar philosophy. He's a guy Sark can trust to get things done for him and to lend him an ear when it comes to strategy and play design. Looking forward to seeing how he performs. Sark's hires are all heavy hitters, so I only assume AJ Milwee is a well-kept secret on the rise. Of course, we all know Stan, so I won't spend too much time here. Stan was a great retention. It keeps us in the hunt for current recruits. It's Suze Bajan, and he's a damn good coach. I remember watching his drills at practice during some preseason promo, and he was always very rational and sober in his approach to running the ball. No reason to get rid of Stan. Plus, Doc on Twitter had my favorite tweet of the offseason with this. And we kept Andre Coleman at wide receiver coach. This was a retention I wasn't expecting, to be honest. I didn't like the physicality of our receivers, and I felt like we were underachieving at that position with Moore, Smith, and Whittington all on the team. But I can agree a lot of the issues were scheme-based, and we were subbing people out left and right, and I don't think that was Coleman's influence. So as I thought more, I'm good with it. We have a massive wide receiver room. From a roster management standpoint, we need less receivers, to put it simply. But we do have that large room, and it's smart to leave someone in place who already knows the players and they like him. I need to see more recruiting. Rumors are Tom meddled often and didn't give him free reign to give offers or take the guys he wanted. Let's see what he can do without his head coach hampering them. I'll be keeping an eye on Andre for sure. And that rounds out the offense, so it's time to get to the defense. And I think we have some hidden gems all over the place. So let's get into our first hire, the defensive coordinator, Pete Kwiatkowski, or PK. He was a very well-kept secret up in Washington. This is a top 3 defensive coordinator in the country. He has the respect of the coaching world, and he's a loyal dude, so everyone assumed he'd just end up at Washington forever. But he did say it was time for a change. He consistently turns average recruits into NFL talent. His development is not bested by any coach in the country. His ability to evaluate and see the potential in average recruits sets him apart. You will see first-round picks on the defense again. He is known for his unique personnel groupings, like a 2-4-5, meaning 2 defensive linemen, 4 linebackers, and 5 defensive backs. He uses his outside linebackers as edge rushers. His blitzes are ingenious, and he's good at making you see ghosts and rush throws with simulated pressure blitzes. He's an instinctive play caller that can anticipate the offense's next move and call the right play. He can get us an interception just by tricking QBs with well-designed disguised looks. His guys fly to the ball and are very well placed on the field to make their plays. They know their assignments and they get there. Very alert and decisive group. I would say this is the dark horse for the best hire and could easily end up being the Texas fan favorite. Dude has a super chill personality and you definitely want to have a beer with him. Excited to have PK with us. We got Bo Davis as the D-line coach. Bo is definitely my personal favorite hire. He is just a D-line coach through and through. You couldn't draw a better D-line coach. Tough dude, no nonsense, all about the violence of it all in the trenches. He's not new to Texas, he was Mac Brown's D-line coach. He's been with the Detroit Lions the past few years. Of course, Detroit is getting blown up right now, so Stafford dipping out. He's a Texas dude and he can recruit his ass off. He is hands down the best recruiter on D, and he will be instrumental in pulling in those top 10 recruits. He gets guys to the NFL, and he knows exactly what NFL coaches are looking for because he was one. We are going to be dominant in the trenches thanks to Bo Davis and Kyle Flood. We picked up Terry Joseph as cornerbacks coach. I had to do some digging. He's an effective recruiter who just got a little violation at Notre Dame. He's a defensive pass game coordinator and a corner coach for us. He's got results. Notre Dame finished 6th nationally in pass efficiency defense in 2018, a season in which the Fighting Irish finished number 13 in the country in scoring defense. They allowed just 18.2 points per game. And I also watched some Notre Dame tape. I like the press man looks and the physicality from corners. He's an effective recruiter and he's landed previous 5 stars, and he scored a bunch of good DBs at Notre Dame. His job is to handle the back end of the defense while Coach K controls the fronts. I'll be watching this hire very closely because it could end up being very, very good. And we got Blake Gideon as safeties coach. Blake Gideon is another guy on the rise. Of course, he started at safety for 52 games with us. Always hear about how cerebral and intelligent he was on the field. And his dad is a Texas football high school coach, so he's an easy in to other coaches around the state. He's been on the rise as a coach the past few years. He worked at Western Carolina as a DB coach for 2 years, then Georgia State as a corners coach, and then he was hired by Dana Holgorsen to coach safeties at U of H, and then Gideon got hired by Lane Kiffin down at Ole Miss, and now he's with us. It's good to have some Texas grads in the staff that truly understand what we are trying to get back to and share the protocols with the coaches. He's a grounding force in that regard and also seems like a coach we are way ahead of the curve on, so looking forward to it. For strength and conditioning, we have Torrey Becton. He's connected to Sark back during his Washington days in the Pac-12. There's not a lot on him. He's been at Cal the past 4 years and he seems solid. The strength coach position is a huge hire, so we need to keep an eye here. I was not a fan of Yancey McKnight's program, so I need to see different body compositions for our athletes. Speed is important too. Still waiting to see if we hire a speed coach, as I heard that's possibly an option. We'll see. Our final hire was inside linebacker coach Jeff Choate. Rob H. actually gave me a link over on Fanatic Perspectives channel to an interview with Jeff Choate. And I like this dude a lot, like as a human being. He seems a sweet-natured, well-meaning dude. He prides himself on being a teacher because he was one, and seems like a great communicator. He is well-respected in coaching circles, and Washington fans wanted to take him over PK at DC this year. But PK snatched him up first. It's good because Sark let PK bring one of his own guys in. We often forget that coaches are a team as well, and they have to feel comfortable and confident with each other. Having familiar, talented faces around you helps ease that stress. He was the head coach at Montana State, which is FCS, so recruiting was non-existent, so I'm waiting to see how that goes. From my research, he's excellent at coaching and developing players. Let's see what he does at the school with all the bells and whistles. Big news from the support side, Derek Chang is out and Drew Hughes is the new player personnel director, and he comes from South Carolina. Appears to be a good hire as well. We have Brian Carrington staying, which is a huge deal. And we also have the Texas creative team staying on board, and that's perfect because they're the best in the nation. So what do you think of the hires? Which one's your favorite? Let me know in the comments. Like the video, subscribe, and share with fellow Texas fans. I need your help to grow. Watch more of my videos here, and I'll see you in the next video. Hook 'em.